Welcome to drvolts.com. I'm Bob Mann, the owner. I have over 40 years of automotive and racing experience. And today we're going to talk about installing a Euro package from eEuroparts.com. It's a street, track, strut, spring, and shock package. We'll go over the installation, why, and we're going to cover a very interesting way to go at it. Do you buy the complete strut assembled to make life easier for you, or do you do it in pieces? This package here from eEuroparts.com is for this 2009 Plus Volkswagen TDI, and we're going to go over the difference between the stock and the performance package for the street. So I'm going to show you the front strut, and this came as an assembled unit. So you can buy these from their catalog completely installed, and all you do is pull out the old one and you just pop this one right back in and you're all to go. And it's on the rear, the same thing here. You buy the shock and the spring, the snubber on the top and everything all installed. The beauty of that package is you don't need a device like this. This is a spring compressor. So if you're going to reuse like the top bearing supports is about all you're going to use in the dust cover, you would have to compress them. You need a tool like this or something similar. You can either buy them or rent them and reassemble them. So that's one way to go. And as you can see in the rear springs, there's a bit of difference here. The H&R Street and Performance package has a little bit of the spring here, and what that does is takes up a little bit of the bumps, and then it gets into the stiffer part that makes the car ride really nice and handles superbly. So this is the package. One of the key things about the Volkswagen is a lot of these bolts are yield bolts, meaning yield is a one-time usage. You torque them, and then that's it. So when you take these suspension parts and engine parts out of Volkswagens, a lot of them have to be replaced. So there's a package of an install kit that you should buy, and different cars have different torque specifications, so you may want to look that up and do it correctly. So this is the package, so why don't we get to going and we'll install it. We're going to get ready to put the spring and strut package into the vehicle. I mean, I have the luxury of a lift. You could do this on the ground with jack stands, as long as it's safely done. So I'm going to start taking it apart, and you'll see how it's very simple and everything goes together quite well. So we released the bolts on the top of the strut. We've released everything on the bottom. Now we're pulling out the old strut, and as you can see, this is what we have. So we're going to replace this in a complete package and put the new upgraded Bilstein struts and H&R racing springs and get the car back on the road. Okay, one of the things I want to bring your attention, we're going to put the racing suspension back into the car. On the strut, there's on the top rubber support, there's an arrow that goes forwards and backwards. That has to be orientated to the front of the rear of the car for everything to work right. So it's kind of really hard to see. It's an impression. If you're reusing this, it's going to be hard. What I suggest is to mark it when you take it out. So the other thing is, you should be using all new hardware. These are yield bolts, meaning they're one-time usage. So I would buy an install kit. So we're going to put it in. We're going to get her back up into here, and hopefully not fight me too much. And secure the strut on the top, and put the third one in. Most guys like to torque them. I'll go back over it and hand torque them. I got a built-in torque wrench here. So the top end of it's done. Now we're going to put the bottom end in and put the car together. Okay, now that I've manhandled it to get it in, tighten up that pinch bolt, and I'm going to leave the sway bar link off on this side because I want to try this car without the sway bar. I'm going to go ahead and put the axle and tighten up the lower ball joint nuts. On the left side, it's best to disconnect the axle from the hub because it can accidentally pull itself apart inside. On the right side, you can leave the axle and the knuckle assembled and still get this all apart. As long as you undo the sway bar links and you put a little bit of force to get the hub down and pop the bottom of the strut out. But on the left side, you definitely got to disconnect the axle. It may be easier for most to do it inside on the Torx inside because this is usually on there. We have some special sockets and 3/4 inch impacts. Sometimes we even have the plasma cutter to slice the bolts to break them free when we're doing axle replacements. It's just a characteristic of this car. So as you can see, the installation went very well. Just remember when the driver's side, release the axle so that it doesn't take itself apart inside. Okay, now we're at the back. We're going to do the installation on the rear. You saw the front went well. The rear, we're going to release the shocks, replace the shocks, and we're going to pull out the springs and install the new H&R springs in the rear. I'm going to show you a couple tricks to make life a little easier here. So we're going to take apart the front. Bolt at the rear. Now we've got the top undone, we're going to go to the bottom. Pull out the stock setup, complete unit, and as you saw earlier, we're going to use the complete system, Bilstein rear shock with the everything new on the top and put it in. Now we're going to go, I'm going to show you how to compress the spring so that you can get it out without going through a lot of trouble. Okay, I'm going to show you a neat little trick that I've figured out to simplify removing the springs in this car. We've released both shocks at the top. Come along and catch the other side of this. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull both lower control arms together so that we can peel out the springs. We don't need a compressor or anything here, and you don't need to undo any of these arms because that's usually how you'll do it, but then you have to use the floor jack to get everything back in. So at this point, I can yank on the spring with a little bit of help. She's out. And then we have to just get the H&R racing spring and install it. Okay, we've taken the stock spring out of it, and the car is still pulled together with the come-along. We're going to just push in the new H&R spring in it. As you can see, there's two ways to go in here. This has this tighter coil that goes at the top on the H&R spring package. So we're good to go. I'll release it and we'll put the shocks in. Okay, we've got the spring in. That went easy. Now we're going to put the Bilstein rear shocks in it and we'll button it up. And there we go. Okay, rear shocks in, spring package is in, car is completed. One thing I did do is I left the sway bar link off on this side. We're going to test the car without the sway bar. Sometimes these cars handle a little better without the front sway bar and a bigger sway bar in the back. And we'll see how she goes. So the installation went very well. It's a very simple, straightforward. I want to thank eEuroparts.com, Matt the owner, and Josh, head of marketing, for helping me put this package together. Now this package, as you saw, comes as a complete package or it can be bought in pieces. So now we're going to take it for a test drive and see how she drives down the street. It's going to be a little bit stiffer than normal, and in the racing end of it, it's great, and on the exits, it's going to be superb, but you're going to see when we take it for a test drive. Okay, we're out in the driveway, and we're going to take it for a test drive to see how she feels. Throw it through an exit or two. I can tell you right now that the ride it's a little stiffer, but not bad than any other car that, you know, a little stiffer suspension or SUV. So let's take it for a ride. Okay, well, here comes our exit. Let's see how she runs. As long as the exit's clear, we'll be good. Let's see her. $80. Flat as a board. You know, she handles very well. Very flat, no lean in it, very responsive. So I'm quite happy with the package. I think anybody would be pleased to drive this vehicle daily and feel comfortable throwing it into an exit. I mean, I believe a car should handle superbly all the time, because you never know when something's going to go wrong. A car in front of you, somebody walks out in front of you, something happens. I mean, a car that handles, you've got a much better chance of surviving a wreck or not hitting somebody or the accident in front of you and getting around it. So there's no reason not to upgrade a suspension system, especially this Volkswagen series here, the 2009 Plus package. And we've got some other tricks for it, but this is, I'm very happy with the outcome of this. No rattle, no noise, and she's, you know, quite comfortable to drive. Okay, let's recap what we've done. We've installed the Bilstein front strut package and shock package. We've installed the H&R Performance Street Spring package. And as you can see, the car has dropped about an inch, and it is very responsive in the turns and driving. So I'm real happy with the way the package worked out. And as you saw in the video, a few of the tricks, I left the front sway bar link gone on the left front, because what that does on this car with the heavy duty spring package, it can allow the car to make the turn, exit the turn, a little more freely. So it lets the back end just feel like it's coming around a little bit, so that you feel very more responsive on the street. So this is a trick that we do, is take the sway bar out, drive it, put it back in, and you can feel the difference. So I'm real happy with this package. And as we discussed earlier, you can click on the link on the end of the website to the eEuroparts.com and order this package either in pieces or pre-assembled, and enjoy the street.